Welcome to the Top Choice Empowerment Show, where host Howard White will teach, inspire, motivate, and most of all, empower you. Now here's your host, Howard White.
Good morning. Welcome to the Top Choice Empowerment Hour. I'm your host, Howard White. That's right, the Top Choice Empowerment Hour. You know, it's funny how it all started out. We were on the air for 30 minutes strong. Now we're on for an hour long. But, you know, I often got people to say, hey, Howard, the show, you're only on for 30 minutes and you actually call it the Top Choice Empowerment Hour. Well, you know, that's lesson number one. Speak things as it will be, not as they are. I think that's the way we should live our lives. Speak things as they will be, not as they are. Because sometimes we are going through things that will not be our end destination. So just keep that in mind. Hey, but for those of you that are new to us, the Top Choice Empowerment Hour is a show that was born out of an idea of doing a radio show that would actually help empower people, teach a little bit, hopefully inspire, motivate, and most of all, empower you to be the best person that you can be, to be the best you. Because you know what? You cannot be a good somebody else. You can only be the best you. And that's what I challenge you to do in today's life. Hey, you can reach out to us. We've got an exciting guest coming on during our second break, Ms. Linda Allred. You're going to learn a lot about it. You're going to learn ways to help you get some breakthroughs, break some habits. So those are some things that we have coming up in the second segment. As we get ready to go into this, I mentioned I was working on a book called Southern Greats and still working on it. Got to get it finished. You know, Southern University, Baton Rouge is celebrating 100 years on the bluff. I mean, the most majestic, beautiful point in Baton Rouge is right there in Scotlandville on the bluff. You know, as I was sharing the book with someone and at a friend, a guy said, hey, anyone that has touched that campus has experienced the bluff. He said, I actually proposed to my wife on the bluff. So just, you know, the bluff has a lot of history, but 100 years there on the bluff. So we're working through that book, and a couple weeks I went through that, but simultaneously I'm actually working on another book. You know, my mom would be proud of me because I used to hate to write when I was in school. So what I've learned to do is actually speak books, talk books, and allow someone else to type it and transpose it, and you come back and put it together. Hey, but the book that we are working on, and it will be out before the Southern Greats book, is called, the working title right now is Top Secrets to Creating a Top Performing Business. And today we're going to focus on one of the chapters out of the book that focus on priority management. You know, we commonly say time management. We actually have time management in the title of the chapter simply because most people, if you say priority management, you see this question mark that comes right down in the middle of their head between their eyes at like, huh? What are you saying? What are you talking about? I mean, just think about priority management. Well, when you look at the two, time management and priority management, everyone has 1,440 seconds in a day. You cannot change that no matter what you do. So you must change what you do in that time. That is changing what are your priorities. What are you focusing on during the time of the day? Because God give us all the same amount of time daily. So we're going to just give a couple strategies that hopefully will help you grow through your day. Not go through it. We're going to grow through it. That's what we're going to do daily. So when you wake up, you ask God to give you the strength to grow through the day. No matter what the challenges and the valleys that come before you, you want to grow through them. So let's talk about it a little bit. First of all, when we talk about time, what is your time worth? Have you really sat down and thought about what is your time worth? You know, a lot of times we say that person's making this. Well, you got to ask yourself, what is my time worth? And one thing that's very important to assessing your time, or what is your time worth to the marketplace, is that you must determine what value do I bring to people? How well do I help others? You know, and there's a quick formula we use that when you look at it is if you have a target income, when I'm coaching someone, we sit down and we talk about, you know, what is it that you desire to make? And then you look at the days in the year. Well, people say 365. Well, you're going to work all 365. Do you want to work all 365? Well, you know, so we use the number 235. So you take that number, you know, if you're sitting down with us and working through with us this morning, just grab that number. That's your goal, your target income. If you hadn't said what you want to make and what you want to be making yearly, then that's a whole nother issue. And we need to work through that at another time on goal setting. But you take that number and actually take 235, which is the total number of working days in the year. So just think about that, 235 working days. And then assume a number of working hours. Now, when I say working hours, not how much time you actually spend at work, but what are you actually working? Because a lot of times we say, man, I got up at 6 this morning. I didn't get home till 6. I mean, I worked 12 hours a day. Well, if you really did a time audit of your time, how much of that time was truly spent working? Some of that was travel time. Some of that was transition time. Some of that was coffee pot time. Some of that was idle chit chat time. But if we really look at and focus on what priorities we had during that time, so when you come down to that, so you're going to come up with a number. And just for conversation's sake, we'll use 7. So out of your day to day, you had 7 working hours a day. So that gives you 1,645 working hours in the course of a year. And then whatever your number is, just simply divide that by 1,645. And that tells you what your hours were. Be surprising, wouldn't it? I remember once I had a job and I did this and I told my boss, I said, hey, I'll be better off working at Domino's Pizza. She said, huh? What do you mean? I said, when I divide how many hours I'm spending working on behalf of this company and in the job, that's equal to a pizza delivery person. But what it taught me also is that I had to make the change. I had to decide to do something different. And that's where you are in your life. You have to decide to do something different and hopefully add a little bit more value to people. And the more value you add, the more valuable you become. So please write that down. The more value you add, the more valuable you become. Well, Howard, what do you mean by that? Well, just think about it. The things that you do that people cannot do without will keep you around longer than anything else. If on the job, a lot of times there are things that we do that we're not, quote, in our job description. But you want to do those things because if it's add value to someone, why not do it? And when you go through the exercise, it's going to help you out a whole lot more in your life, a whole lot more. Well, we're going to talk about a couple things real quick on doing a time analysis. One of the things when you do your time analysis and your observations, understanding your day, what I mean by that is, what time are you most productive? Your morning person, your afternoon person? I mean, what time does your natural alarm clock really kick in? Not wake you up. Some people, 8 o'clock, they're barely moving. Others, most days, Howard White is one of those, 4 o'clock, I'm woke. It's time to go. Get up and do something. So it's just, one of those things. I think I say hereditary because my grandfather was the same way. My dad still is the same way. If I call it 5 o'clock, most mornings he's already up and at 'em. The other thing that'll help you with time is strategic priorities. We're talking about priorities. Write down your 4 highest priorities in your life. And, the thing about priorities, they will change. So I ask you to evaluate that each quarter. If you look at the calendar right now, we're starting a new quarter. Today is April Fool's Day. But what are those priorities? And then when you're looking at your time that you spent, are you really spending time with those priorities? What's important to you? If you wrote your family as one of your priorities, how much time are you truly spending with your family? No, not how much time you're at home. How much time are you truly spending with your family? If you wrote your sales, how much time are you focusing on sales? What can you do to free up more time for sales? Then now I ask this question. If I had more time in the day, what would I do with it? What would I do with it? If I had less time, what wouldn't I do? I call that my DNC, my do not call list. Who do I need to put DNC by or DNA by, do not answer in your phone? So when the number comes up, it automatically lets you know, hey, that's not a conversation I want to have. That's not a place I want to spend time with. So we got to be, in that whole realm of evaluating our time and plugging our priorities in it, because time is going to tick, tick, tick. I mean, right now I've been on the air for 14 minutes. If I had said nothing, the same 14 minutes would have gone by. But it's a matter of what you do in that time. And that's up to you, how you focus. You ask that question, how can a CEO make millions of dollars a year and someone else working in the company only make 100,000? Well, it's the value that he's bringing to the time, how he or she's impacting the company. So we talk about less time. What would you do if you had less time? Who are those folks? And then now you take those things and you look at, if you had more time, what would you add in? You want to ask yourself, could you remove those things that you would not be doing? And why not? Because the ideal situation is to take the things that you would not be doing and plug in the things that you wish you were doing more of, or you should be doing more of, are those strategic priorities. So those are just a few tips there to help you focus on your priorities. As I going through the book, we got actually 17 strategies for more profitable time management. Our priority management, as I like to say it when I'm teaching. And I say time management because I use the word interchangeably because people relate to time. When you say priority, it still confuses a lot of people. But we have those, and you can text me, and we'll be glad to send you a copy of that. You can text us at simply text the word coach to 225-412-7300. That's right. Text the word coach to 225-412-7300. 7300, and I'll be glad to share those with you. 17 ways. That's right, 17. Why 17? Well, when you read them, you will find out why 17. Just take a little time and then a little more time and apply them and then use them and then make them become habits. Because we're going to be talking about breaking bad habits. But when you break bad habits, you need to replace them with productive habits. But so those strategies will help you in life, will help you find more and get more out of your days. So hopefully that's been a help to you. Time-wise, 16 minutes into the show. Actually, I started at 4, so 12 minutes. What did we do within those 12 minutes? And that's how you should be with your time today. Break it up into 15-minute increments and say, what do I do in each 15 minutes? Write it down. If you want a copy of our time audit and where you can actually go through it, you can text us. Or you can email me personally at howard@teamtopchoice.com, and I'll be glad to email you a copy of that. That's howard@teamtopchoice.com. And that time audit definitely will help you see where your time is going, because that in which we track, we value. So if you track and measure it, you're going to value it. And time is one of those things that we must value, because whether we value it or not, it's going to be ticking. Tick, 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 tick. Time waits for no one. So I challenge you today is to determine, what are you going to do with your time? What are you going to make a priority in being the best person that you can be? Hey, welcome back to the Top Choice Empowerment Hour. I'm your host, Howard White. Hey, I just had to hear that song, a little Marvin Sapp this morning. Hey, we've all been there. Probably going to go there again and just be glad that we made it through. And, as I like to say, I was sharing with someone last night, we all seek those peaks, but we must realize that we will go through a valley. And I challenge you to grow through the valley as you do that. But we'll talk about that a little differently with our next guest coming up. And, hey, you can call in. She definitely will welcome your call, and you will be blessed by calling, actually, because Linda is a very dynamic person. Let me give you the number to call in, 225-343-1075. That's 225-343-1075. You can call in and be live with Linda Allred and Howard White. So let me just try to set this up and introduce Linda properly. Properly is what we will try to do. Linda is the bad habit breaker. She's a certified hypnotist, and then during the break we had to play with that because that's one of those tongue twisters for me. But more importantly, she's a Christian hypnotist, and that means a big difference. And we're going to ask Linda when she come on to explain that, because a lot of people are afraid of being hypnotized. What does that entail? But the main thing that Linda does, and hundreds of testimonies of individuals that have gone through her program and work with her, is she helps people get rid of those limiting beliefs, because that's the first step to breaking bad habits, is really breaking through those limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs are those things that stop us. That's right, stop us from going to something. It's like that roadblock, that detour that's sitting there that we cannot go around, or we choose not to go around. All we have to do is just veer to the right a little bit, and it's right there. Hey, but let's get Linda on. Hey, Linda, come on, pull up to the mic there, and good morning.
Good morning to you.
Hey, glad to have you in early this morning. Well, let's talk a little bit about, how did you become a hypnotist?
Well, I promise you, I never in my wildest dreams thought I'd grow up to be a hypnotist.
Hold up, you've grown up?
I spent 17 years as a human resource director, and stress led me to see a doctor thinking I was having a heart attack. And he told me that 90% of the reasons that people visit doctors is stress-induced or psychosomatic. We do it with our own thoughts. And so he told me to go learn to relax. Well, I left there mad as a hornet, give me a pill or cut it out. So I suffered with that for over a year. And 2 different people mentioned hypnosis to me. And I said, look, my husband's a banker. We don't do woo-woo stuff like that. And finally, a master's degree RN who I really trusted said, learning to practice self-hypnosis is a natural stress releaser, so go. So didn't tell the banker husband till the night before. And he said, oh, they're going to brainwash you. Please don't go. And I said, well, the medical community said they can't fix me, So I had a lot of limiting beliefs. So as I sat in that hypnotist chair, I did not think I was hypnotized. But what I learned was one of the greatest secrets on planet Earth is that 99% of my mind is subconscious, and that's where all my good beliefs and bad beliefs are stored and all my good and bad habits. And conscious mind only makes up 1%. It judges 2 + 2 is 5. You say that's wrong. But it's also where your inner critic is housed. And I had a little inner critic called radio station Crazy, Krazy, that beat me up pretty good.
Capital K?
Capital K, yes. So anyway, out of curiosity, after I left that session, I did not think I was hypnotized because I heard every word he said, but my life changed. Not all my same stressors were still there, but things sort of slowed down. I could handle things better. I noticed I had more self-confidence, more self-esteem. I was sleeping better. I just had a greater sense of well-being. And so I said, how did that happen? I heard every word the man said. And so he offered a weekend course because he was introducing his certification program to be a hypnotist. Well, I didn't go out there to be a hypnotist. I wanted to know, how did I get better when I heard every word you said? And so what I learned was when you relax, it doesn't take long. That little inner critic sort of gets bored and out of the way. And at that moment in time, you're in the most highly suggestible state of your entire life for 99% of your mind to accept suggestion.
When you said that, it made me think about how a lot of times when we pull back of a situation, and as an HR director, you probably saw it a lot, when a person would actually pull back and relax and evaluate a situation from, I don't know if it would be the subconscious, but more so from that second person, I call it. They see things different. It slows down and solutions begin to come that they did not see before because you're moving at such a fast pace. Is that similar to what happens?
Right, exactly. When you relax, your subconscious is at the most highly suggestible state of your entire life. And it serves 2 purposes. Its main purpose is to keep your autonomic nervous system functioning 24 hours a day. You don't tell it to breathe, your body. You don't tell it to pump blood. But Howard, what I did not know 20 plus years ago when I first got started, it's the other main purpose of your subconscious mind that makes up 99% of your mind is to listen to your conscious thoughts and tries to make it your reality. Yeah. And I started listening to my stinking thinking, and I had a lot of stinking thinking, And so once I understood the universal law of how the mind works, then my goal was, how can I get positive message into my subconscious? So I teach my clients and use personally myself 4 steps to create amazing happiness, health, and prosperity, and help them skyrocket their business and life by learning to squash their limiting subconscious beliefs.
Let's talk about that process a little bit. A lot of times people say, well, I got to come in and see you. And because I know you're able to help people over the phone. Talk about that process a little bit.
Well, I work with people worldwide. I have, clients locally as well. But what I do is the first step, whether you want to work with me or another coach, I offer a Living Well assessment.
Let's talk about that because I went through the assessment, and one of the things it does is it forces you to look at your inner self. And if you're sitting there doing it intentionally and on purpose, as I say, it forces you to hear your inner self,
it does.
Which is even more powerful.
Yeah. You're going to rate yourself on 5 different areas of your life: your mindset, body health, career, business, action, implementation, and commitment. And then you get your score right away. So then you see exactly where your strengths are and where you need improvements and what possible next steps you might want to take.
So how are people able to do that living well assessment?
You go to www.livingwellassessment.com. That's livingwellassessment.com. And you rate yourself, like I said, in those 5 different categories. And as soon as you hit the submit button, you get your score back.
So by doing that, how will I benefit from just doing the assessment?
You're going to see where you're really doing well in your life, and it's going to force you to look at areas that you're not doing well in and take some next steps if you're interested in that. Anyone that I work with, that's the first process. And then we get on the telephone with a complimentary Break Your Bad Habit Strategy session and just talk about why do you think you're strong in this area, why do you think you need improvement in this area, and come up with some next steps.
When I look at that, we're going to talk about what are some of the outcomes, because that's one of the things that I always like to focus on with my guests is not more so what you do and why you do, but what will a person benefit from that. So we're going to just talk just different areas. When we talk about life purpose, a lot of people are still struggling to find that true purpose in life. How will this help someone get clarity in that area?
Well, do you know what the number one limiting belief in the world is?
I think I do, but Linda, I'd rather if you told us.
It is, I am not good enough. And if you live your life from that perspective, you're going to live a small, unfilled life. Hey, I can't talk this morning. A small, unfulfilled life.
Let's stop
Yes.
there. We're going to dive in a little deeper there. Because a lot of times you see it on a person's face, I'm not good enough. Whether it's that salesperson walking in to call on a corporate executive, whether it's that wife or husband dealing with their spouse, you see it on their face. Talk about that a little bit, about that limiting belief.
Well, Linda Allred didn't think she was good enough. 20 plus years ago, I kept getting promoted in my HR job, but I was terrified they were going to find out I didn't know as much as they thought I did, and I lived in fear constantly. I gained 40 pounds because I ate my fear. That's what I did.
Yeah, that cake, that crawfish had too thick.
Right. And, people, Howard, ask me all the time, what is a limiting belief and how do I know if I have one? Well, if you're getting where you want to go quickly, you probably don't have that many, but if you're stuck spinning your wheels, you probably have them. And you can think of your limiting beliefs like individual logs. A log, you cut down a tree, floats down the stream. All right, so let's say I'm not good enough is one, I'm not worthy, I can't charge what I'm worth, and on and on and on. And you end up with this huge log jam in your subconscious mind. And if you know anything about logging, the loggers will tell you if they can find one log in this massive log jam called the kingpin and free that one log right out of the middle of that log jam, then all the other logs just break up freely and float down the stream. So what I do, I'm also a master energy practitioner of kinesiology. Some people might know it as muscle testing. But I find those individual log jams that people have, and there are typically 10 life categories that most people's limiting beliefs are found in. Entrepreneur, you've got to have the right
entrepreneur spirit,
entrepreneurial mindset to succeed. We're going to have a tongue twister here. Life purpose, manifestation, wealth, personal power and peak performance, focus, clarity, and organization, worthiness and self-acceptance, energy, creativity, and balanced lifestyle, positive body image and ideal weight, and relationships. So we find those log jams, those kingpins in those different areas, and let go of those limiting beliefs. And
when you look at that, that list of 10 is very powerful because it really covers the whole person.
It does. Mind, body, spirit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it truly does. And having limited beliefs in any of those, like you said, it will block others from coming through. Mm-hmm. Explain that a little bit more, because I think some people struggle with understanding how having limited beliefs in one area of their life really holds them back in other areas.
Well, I had a client recently that was good at marketing her husband's business, but she didn't think she was that good at marketing hers. She had limiting beliefs around her ability, and we use the it's called Accelerated Change Template Act to help her let go of her limiting beliefs, and she doubled her income after 4 sessions. So that's pretty powerful. Another lady I worked with made more money in the last 2 months than she made all last year. Why? She let go of the limiting beliefs. She believes she is good enough. And when you believe you're good enough, obstacles will come in your way, but you will get right back up. I can tell you, I was a caregiver for my husband for 3 years, and he died a year ago, and I wanted to get in the bed and just cover up my head and not get up. But
let's talk about that, because I think that will help and bless some people of what it took you to get out of that after being there by his side day in, day out for 3 years, and you coming back on to live your life. If you go to their website right now and you look at this lady, you're going to say, man, this 50-year-old lady sitting in here with Howard, Linda, I'll share your age. She's a little bit north of 50. But no, she's almost 70 years old.
I am 73 years young.
73 years young.
And people say I don't look my age, but I say I've been around the block a few times. Hang around with me and I'll teach you a few things.
So, but, just talk about coming out of that, going through that with your husband and that experience of getting back on track and getting back into your purpose.
Well, I practice what I teach. I practice my self-hypnosis, creative visualization. I did the ACT work with myself. I practice the laws of attraction and positive affirmations. And positive affirmations, I would get out of bed with tears in my eyes, go into the kitchen and be crying, and I would just start screaming positive affirmations to myself. I am happy. I am having a wonderful day. I am getting better and better in every way, day by day. And I just keep screaming those, and all of a sudden I felt better. Because the subconscious does not care how you want to live your life.
Yes.
I want you to understand that. Your subconscious mind that makes up 99% of your life, your mind does not care how you want to live your life. It listens to your thoughts. You want to be sad, it'll make you feel sad. You want to be happy, it'll make you feel happy. So you learn to fake it till you make it.
We often say it all starts with a thought, then that leads to actions.
Right.
And those actions become habits.
This is true. Henry Ford said it best. If you think you can or can't, you're right. I'm going to repeat it. If you think you can or can't, you're right. It's all about mindset.
Right. It's about mindset, and the mind determines what actions you take, because if you have those negative thoughts, you'll sit there and would have laid in the bed, and if you hadn't got up and said you're having a great day, you would have laid in the bed and had your pity party, and pity parties lead to depressions, as one of my pastors used to say, and that's why people have clinical depressions, because they sit in a pity party too long.
They do.
So you don't want to hang out at those pity parties and those negative, living that a negative mindset. Let's talk about, you have a call coming up. And when I say a call, this is a program that will help you, and the title of it is Skyrocket Your Business Now programs. Talk a little bit about the program. The preview call is going to be April the 24th, and we can give you some information how to find that link to register. But it's going to be a 90-day virtual program that's going to take you through organically these 10 categories that I talked about, and find the limiting beliefs in those categories. And my coach and mentor, Nakia Devia, and I are doing this program. And let me just tell you a little bit about her. I stood up at a high-end mastermind group and said, I could help you break bad habits in 28 days. Well, then she stood up and said she could do it in 2 to 5 minutes. Well, I looked at her and thought, I don't believe you, to myself. Well, I started hanging around her and realized she really was onto something here. And I asked myself this question: who would you rather work with, the 28-day lady or the 2 to 5 minute lady? So I have gone as high as I can with her, and so she and I are doing this program together. That's a very important part, because a lot of times people, no matter where you're at in your life, you should always seek out mentors. Individuals that are doing things that you want to do in different areas of your life. Speak to that a little bit. I know it's a little bit off track, but I think that's important.
I believe in mentors. In 1996, when I started my practice, I was bringing in $4,000 a month total revenue. I could pay my bills, but not myself, a salary. And I hired a mentor that taught me how to market hypnosis. And when I sold my business, when my husband had a stroke, I was bringing in $60,000 a month total revenue. I let go of limiting beliefs using hypnosis. I used to charge $75 an hour. I charge $500 an hour. How did that happen? You talked about value.
Yes.
You have to understand. I understand the value that I bring to people that I work with. That you can totally change your life.
It was put to me in a couple of testimonies you talk about. I know one of the persons personally. There's a statement: "It's not what it costs. What is it worth?"
It's right.
And to that
the
lady,
transformation,
that she saw doubling her income in 2 months. Mm-hmm. So that means she has another 10 months to do it again and again and again and again. So 5 times. So that was a small price for her to pay because of what it was worth to her.
Right. And it's all about learning to love, like, and respect yourself. Nakia charges $750. So this program, we're going to qualify people because we're only going to accept 27 people. So take the livingwellassessment.com and you'll find out if you qualify. But we're going to give you 10 calls. It's going to start May the 10th. Mm-hmm. It's going to be 10 calls with us. So that's $6,000 to $7,500 worth of our time alone. And the program's going to be $1,497, but because I'm with Howard, we're going to give you $500 off of that program.
Whoa. You said the hour with Howard was worth $500?
That's right.
I like that. I like that. Just that 1 hour of you listening in.
Right. So it's only going to be $997, and we offer up to 5 payments a month. So if you want to change your life, change your mindset, change your life.
All right. We had a little technical break in here, but we're going to keep going. And
somebody wants to change their life, change their mindset.
They're really beeping in. But no, so the preview call is actually on April the 24th at 3 p.m. Central Time. You can actually register for that call, but
you want to give them the registration?
Yeah, I'm going to give it to them. Skyrocket Your Business Now. That's skyrocketyourbusinessnow.com, and you can register for that call.
And you'll see my smiling face with a video.
That's it. That 50-year-old lady sitting right there. But even before that, you can go ahead and connect with Linda and go through the Living Well assessment. You can go to Linda Allred. That's ALLRED. So all RED, all in red. She's always wearing red, so it's funny how that ties into your name. Mm-hmm. But .com, and you're able to, connect with her even before the 24th because, it could be a lot of transformation happening in 23 days before that call. So don't wait till that call. I often tell people to do things today and not tomorrow because tomorrow truly never comes.
God only gives us this moment and learning to live in the now. We
have to, and that's what you have to do, both enjoy it and embrace it.
And you mentioned that I'm a Christian hypnotist. My certification coaches were 2 Methodist ministers.
Yes, my joke with Methodist Church, and I say joke because my late mother-in-law was very active, and we always joke about it when her mom was full gospel or holiness. So it was just the dichotomies of church services. Mm-hmm. But as she would say, we all serve in the same God, and that's the most important thing.
Right.
Any last words or things you want to share?
How many minutes did we have?
Oh, how many minutes? Just a couple more minutes.
All right, I wanted to quickly tell you the Dino story. Albert Pelchet's son. Mm-hmm. He was 10, and Albert called me, and he said, I love him, but I don't like him. He wakes up miserable, unhappy, throwing temper tantrums. And so he said, will you work with him? I said, typically I don't work with kids, but will he listen to a CD or an MP3? And he listened to the Child's Health and Confidence CD. So they made a deal with him 15 minutes every night, but they didn't know if he really did it or not. And 2 weeks later, they noticed he was waking up happier, not throwing temper tantrums. And 3 weeks later, the teacher called and said, what's going on? He's making better grades. He's happier. And he even said, Miss Smith, I'm special, and you know I'm special. And he had never had that confidence before.
Right.
So Dino is the only child I've ever taken into my VIP programs, and we did the ACT, the energy work with him because he didn't think he was good enough. He was a good gymnast, but anytime he made a mistake, he quit. So he went out for the little state meet in his age group, stumbled on the pommel horse, picked himself back up, and run the state meet. Why? Because he let go of the little limiting belief that he didn't think he was good enough. And I just have tears every time I think about Dino.
And I know Albert personally, just met him prior to meeting you and just had heard him share that story before. I knew you. And, it's just how amazing how God put people in your life and help them, help you. When you talk about that and with youth, I think a lot of times that's what leads to a lot of the situations we see with kids, the bullying, the depressions that our young people have today, simply because they believe they're not good enough.
Exactly. And so why do I tell you the story about a 10-year-old? If a 10-year-old who didn't even want to listen to Miss Linda or come see Miss Linda can have that result, what could you do? How could you change your life if you learn to let go of your limiting beliefs?
Yes. I mean, if you let them go, amazing things will happen. So just a couple quick things for you to plug back into: skyrocketyourbusinessnow.com, and go to the registration page there. But even prior to that, hit Linda at Linda Allred. That's ALLRED.com.
And take the Living Well assessment.
Yes. Now, I'll tell you what, also...
and get that $500 off.
Right.
Howard's worth it.
The hour has been worth it. And I'm going to do one also for everyone. I have not discussed this with Linda. I do crazy things on the show. And
oh, boy.
Oh, boy. Tell you what, if you text us at 225-412-7300, text the word coach, or you email me personally at howard@teamtopchoice.com, we're going to twist Linda's arm and get one of her MP3s that we can email out to you, just a positive affirmation. I believe she's shaking her head. Yes, see, that was an easy twist. So, but we're going to do that, and that will help you and bless you as you go through this journey of life. And but remember to plug into us. So, any last important words, Linda?
Well, no matter what goal you want to achieve, whether it's losing weight or climbing the highest mountain in the world, until you let go of your limiting beliefs, you're going to stay stuck. So once you understand your subconscious doesn't care how you want to live your life, it just listens, then it's important to learn tools to give yourself new messages every day.
And just keep in mind, in order to climb this ladder called life, you must let go of one rung in order to reach another one.
And the most powerful affirmation on the face of the earth is, day by day, in every way, I'm getting better and better and better. Just keep saying that to yourself.
Hey, you talk about positive affirmations. Tamela Mann says it best right there. Those best days, those worst days are behind me, meaning the best days are all in front of me. That's what it is. The Top Choice Empowerment Zone. We're here to help you realize those best days, because you can only be the best you. I mean, I had fun last week. I want to give a shout out to the folks over at Madison Prep. Had a chance to speak to their high school seniors at their senior award breakfast. Great time. I mean, it's always great to see youth doing positive things and enjoying life. If you go to my Facebook page, you'll see a video I had with two young men. They didn't know I was going to do it, so we had fun with it. One's an aspiring actor. Actually, he had to play that night. He was playing the role of a 10-year-old. I told him he had to shave simply because I hadn't seen any 10-year-olds with a full beard. So that was one. And the other one is actually a gospel artist, Sam. He's the we'll probably try to get him on the show. He's touring this summer some, and after high school, he's a senior and knows where he wants to go. So just excited to see just a sample of individuals. Those two were just a sample of the individuals that were happy about life and enjoying school and enjoying their purpose. And, that's something that we challenge you. Hey, this is a segment called, what is Howard reading now? Well, one of the things I'm reading is my own book. Oh, man, it's exciting to be moving into that realm where you're almost a published author. And, we talked about time management, or priority management. I'm going to give you a few of those 17 ways. I'm just going to touch on the highlights because we only got a few minutes. Number one, set clear priorities. That's right. They got to be clear. When you look at things clearly, you set it, it allows you to focus. And that's what you want to do. You want to set those clear priorities. Number two, use your skills. Delegate your weakness. That's right. Use your skills. I say use your strengths. You want to focus on what you're good at. Because if you're good at it, you want to become great at it. If you're not good at it, let somebody else do it. Partner with someone. Number three, delegate. That's right, delegate. I had a client I was talking to, and he was saying, man, nobody else can sell like me. I said, maybe so. But if you have 4 or 5 people selling at 80, 90% of you, how much better would your company be? And then actually 1 or 2 of those people are actually going to be better than you once they get to know things. So delegate. Remember that, delegate. A lot of us have a hard time of letting go, but we got to learn to let go. Learn to say no. And then I even take that a step forward and say, not now. If you have a hard time saying no, you can also say not now, meaning that, no, I'm not going to do it. We'll evaluate it at a different time if it falls in line with my priorities and the priorities of, what my purpose is. Create and keep. That's right. Create and keep a strict schedule. If you don't plan your day, others will plan it for you. It's nothing like being able to say, hey, I have an appointment. I've had my staff say, well, how do you have an appointment? No one's in the office with you. Well, I got an appointment with myself to do this project, to complete this and have this ready. So create and keep that strict schedule. Make decisions. That's right. Make decisions. Will some of them be wrong? Yes. But if you sit there and waddle, you go nowhere. You have to go down the road of life. And, as you make those decisions, as my mentor, John Maxwell, says, sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. So it's important to learn from all your decisions, both the good and the bad. Manage telephone interruptions. That is one that's real tough. Managing those telephone interruptions, because a lot of times we don't realize how much time those telephone interruptions are taking away from us. So have a defined time that you're going to call people back. Keep your work environment organized. Right now, that's an area that I'm struggling with. Hey, I'm struggling with that. So I actually have someone scheduled to come in and spend time with me reorganizing my workspace. I've struggled with it. Howard, I can't figure it out. I already said it. So therefore, I'm weak at it. So I'm delegating that to someone or hiring someone to come in and help me with that area. And that's what you should do. Those things that you're weak at, get people to help you with, people that are good at it. And this number 9 falls in line with that, keeping your filing system organized. Clearly communicate, never assume. You've heard that acronym of assume, and I won't mess with that one here, but you should never assume. Always clarify and communicate with your team and people. Number 11, stop duplicating efforts. That's right. Stop duplicating efforts. Why do things twice? Do it once and make once good. Focus on it when you're doing it, and you only have to do it once. Say goodbye to procrastination and perfectionism. That's right. Say goodbye to those two, because things will never be done perfectly. Because if you go back and analyze any situation, you can always find one or two things to nitpick. Plan your work and work your plan. We often hear that, but what does that mean? That means that I must go in and actually plan my work. Here's how I'm going to do it, and then actually go in and do it that way. Avoid needless, impromptu, unstructured meetings. Folks say, man, I need to come over and meet with you. About what? Why? What are we going to get out of this? Not what's in it for me, but what's in it for us. Can we have this meeting over the phone? Do we need to go and meet somewhere face to face? So ask yourself that question. Establish clear policies and procedures on all the things involved in your business and even in your personal life. This is how I'm going to handle these situations. It makes it clear. It makes it easier for you to work through things and for you to spend less time on it. And then maintain your equipment and your body. That's right. Your equipment and your body. When I say your equipment, your physical equipment in your office, in your environment, but then your body. Because if we maintain our body, it's there to work for us and not against us. So those are just those quick 17. Those tips are in the book with some practical, not how-tos, but how will I do it. So some steps that you can actually put into place and hopefully help empower you to be that best person you can be. Hey, that hour has ended. It's almost that time. But hey, as we said, if you heard our guest, you want to make sure that you get that log jam, find that kingpin, and get that kingpin out of the way to allow that subconscious to flow freely and help you be the best person that you can be. So you can connect with Linda Allred at her website at lindaallred.com. And she does have a new program coming up called skyrocketingyourbusinessnow.com. And that call, the preliminary call, is going to be on the 24th of April at 3 p.m. And only 27 people are going to be included in the program. So once again, I'm going to leave you with a quote that Linda said, from Henry Ford. And basically all it says is real simple. Whether you believe you can or you can't. That's right. Can or can't. You're right. So it's a choice that you have to make on what you can do, will do, and will be. So this is Howard White, your host for the Top Choice Empowerment Hour. Hey, thanks again for spending that time with us as we help you to be the best person that you can be.
You've made the top choice. Like Howard on Facebook at Team Top Choice and receive more tips that will help increase your productivity. And remember, Howard helps others win and